The privileged circle in Beijing has a common secret. If you see a woman driving a car with license plate 9999, absolutely do not provoke her. Van Than drives precisely that bead with license plate 9999. Rumors say she loves her husband deeply, but likes to seek novelty, excitement outside. And she plays big, keeping 99 men out there. But there is one taboo, that this must not reach her husband's ears. Everyone knows. The husband who has been by her side for 7 years is her weakness, but the 100th man is very defiant, relying on her indulgence. He sent me a bill from a hotel. The name registered on it was to Van Than. Right after, a recording was sent. Honey, if you don't take me with you, you'll get pregnant with our child. I recognized it was to Van Than's voice. When I was about to confront her, he sent another provocative message. Do you know how your queen is obsessed with me? Every year on your birthday, on your anniversary, she waits until you're asleep, then comes to me. You're the only third wheel in this relationship. Looking at those provocative messages, my heart was still like water. At this moment, I suddenly felt like letting go. After leaving the hospital, I found Tong Hao, asked him to arrange a fake plane crash, because I understand to Van Than well. She would never agree to divorce, much less let me leave. She would only go crazy immediately. After returning from Tong Hao's place, I received a video from So Van Chow. The video was 2.5 hours long. In the video, So Van Chow wore a cat-eared maid outfit. Beside the table were various stimulating props. Kitchen, desk, hallway. The two of them were intimate in every corner of the room. To Van Than in the video was in a state I had never seen. Each scene cut my heart like a knife. But I was torturing myself, watching the entire video. Although I had known for a long time that to Van Than was cheating, I still couldn't let go of my love for her. Wanting to push her out of my life was like having to endure. Opening my chest, taking out my bloody heart and tearing it apart. I sat dazed for a long time. When I became clear-headed again, looking at the empty house, not knowing how much time had passed, my stomach sent waves of sharp pain that made my vision darken, almost losing consciousness. I struggled to crawl to the living room. The first thing I thought of wasn't calling 120, but calling to Van Than. The phone rang several times before connecting. By then I was in pain nearly to the point of passing out, not even having the strength to speak. Where are you? I wanted to say I felt terrible, wanted her to come back quickly, but before I could finish, to Van Than interrupted me, her voice gentle, seductive. Honey, the company has something very important. I need to speak quickly, as it's urgent. I won't be coming home tonight. The call ended. I also completely lost consciousness. When I woke up again, I was in the hospital. Tong Hao sat by the bed, eyes red. You scared me to death. Do you know you almost died? Tong Hao had originally planned to call me. The fake death had been arranged, but couldn't contact me. Worried something happened to me, he came to check. The result was that as soon as he opened the door, he found me unconscious on the floor. The doctor said I had severe pancreatitis. When I was brought in, part of my pancreas had already necrotized. Just a bit longer. Even the gods couldn't have saved me. The surgery needed a family member's signature, but they couldn't contact my wife. Tong Hao asked if he should call her again. I stared blankly at the wall, suddenly laughed. No need to contact her anymore. Never again. The next morning, I tried to leave the hospital. By noon, to Van Than finally returned, came to my side, leaned against me, then opened her tablet, pointed to an island. Honey, look at this. I just bought this island. For you, and more. I've begun constructing amusement parks in cities all over. In the future, they'll be named after our child, when the baby is born. After she finished speaking excitedly, she realized since entering the house, I hadn't spoken a word. My face was pale, my forehead covered with sweat. What's wrong? Honey, where do you feel unwell? Let me take you to the hospital right away. Seeing I looked very uncomfortable, she panicked to the point her voice trembled. At this moment, looking at my pale face, her heart ached as if being squeezed tight, stretched. I am fine. I took her wrist. You know my stomach has never been good. I ate something cold yesterday, so my stomach is just upset. There's medicine on the table. Could you get it for me? To Van Than immediately ran to get the medicine, then brought warm water. Looking at the medicine box, she hesitantly said, Honey, why is this different from the stomach medicine you usually take? I answered offhandedly. New medicine prescribed by the doctor. To Van Than didn't ask further. Today, I'll stay home with you all day. What do you want for lunch? I'll make it. No need. I have a class reunion this afternoon, and I need to visit some former teachers tonight. You go handle your business. I stood up, this time leaving the country, probably never to return. Before leaving, meeting friends one last time, as a farewell. To Van Than wasn't comfortable letting me go out alone. She insisted on coming along. As soon as we entered the reunion venue, everyone burst into laughter. I knew right away Luke Canthem was coming today. To Van Than would certainly follow. To Van Than smiled, accepting everyone's teasing. She had prepared gifts in advance, personally distributed them to each person. Everyone was amazed. My goodness, these are the latest Fendi watches, priced at 7 figures. Madame To always gives us such expensive gifts. It's truly thanks to Luke Cantham's blessing. In college, I was well liked by everyone. Those present were all good friends of mine. To Van Than was also willing to put in effort to please them, because if they were happy, I would be happy. Everyone secretly marveled. The power of love is so great. It made to Van Than, that noble flower, become a sunflower smiling at everyone. Cantham, I am so envious of you, having a wife who loves you so much. Hearing these words, I didn't smile happily like before, just smiled politely. When the party room was bustling with laughter and conversation, the door was suddenly pushed open. So Van Xiao appeared confidently before everyone. A class reunion and no one told me? Aren't we in the same class? Because of So Van Xiao's appearance, the atmosphere immediately sank, but he seemed not to notice everyone's unwelcome attitude. Deliberately sat down opposite me, then smiled brightly, glancing at the gifts in everyone's hands. Famous brand indeed, but it seems everyone doesn't know yet. This is a brand I founded. Everyone secretly doubted in their hearts. His family had been bankrupted by Van Than years ago. No longer had a foothold in the country. How could he found such a luxury brand? My family experienced some misfortune back then, but afterward, I met my wife. 2 years ago, she invested several $100 billion, also used many connections, busily arranged to open a company for me, and not just one company. She opened 26 companies for me. After saying this, So Van Xiao's eyes swept over to Van Than subtly, then smiled provocatively looking toward me. My breath caught. I remembered 2 years ago. There was a period. Van Than was especially busy. At that time, she said the company was expanding into foreign markets, so she was busier than usual. But it turned out she was busy opening companies for So Van Xiao. A sharp pain spread from my chest, making the surgical incision hurt as well. I unconsciously held my stomach. Honey, what's wrong? Where do you feel unwell? Van Than immediately stood up worried. I'll call a doctor right away. So Van Xiao laughed coldly. Luke Cantham, I am telling you, you're a man. Why do you always look weak, like you're about to die? As soon as he finished speaking, Van Than's face darkened. She fiercely slapped him. If you don't shut your mouth and get out, I'll make sure you can never open your mouth again. So Van Xiao rubbed his cheek, then slightly smelled his palm. Smiling, said, all right, I'm leaving. Don't be angry anymore. As soon as he left, the atmosphere in the party room became lively again, but my face remained as pale as before. Van Than worriedly held my hand tightly. Honey, what exactly is bothering you? The doctor arrived quickly. I pushed them away. I am fine. I just need to use the restroom. Don't follow me. As soon as I was in the hallway, I was blocked by So Van Xiao. He smiled coldly. Don't think Van Than hit me because of you. So you're that important to her. She and I already have a set of twins, even though it was through surrogacy. That's still our flesh and blood. Her heart has already tilted toward me. Do you believe it? Just by saying our children have a fever. Michelle immediately come to me. When I returned to the party room, Van Than's face indeed showed unusual worry. She came up to me, kissed me lightly on the cheek. Honey, I have an urgent matter. I need to go to the company. I've already spoken to the manager. All expenses will be charged to my account. You and your friends enjoy yourselves. I grabbed her hand. Didn't you say you'd stay with me today? Can't you stay? Looking into my calm eyes. For some reason, Van Than's heart suddenly filled with panic. She felt if she left today, she would lose something very important. But So Van Xiao said, the child was sick. That's her flesh and blood. She had to go see what was wrong. In the end, she still removed my fingers one by one, my fingers that were holding her tight. Honey, I'll definitely come home to you tonight. Is that okay? I took a deep breath. So Van Than's heart had truly leaned toward another side. Half an hour later, So Van Xiao sent me a video. Although I knew clearly what was in it, I still tremblingly pressed play. In the video, So Van Xiao embraced Van Than. A moment without seeing you. I feel like I can't live. I thought of you until I went crazy, so I came to the class reunion. But seeing you and Luke Cantham so affectionate, I was jealous to the point of madness. So I said a few sour words. But you hit me because of him. And you're pregnant. How can you get angry because of him? I didn't. So Van Xiao tried to deny. But when his eyes touched the hot egg she was holding to his swollen red cheek, you could see she was really enjoying it. She took a warm egg to soothe his swollen red cheek. Fine. Who told you to publicly provoke Cantham? But today I was a bit heavy-handed. Just tell me what you want. Consider it compensation. The children's birthday is coming soon. I want the island you just bought as a birthday gift for them. Van Than frowned. No way. That's the island I plan to give to my child with Cantham. Why would it be his child? The month you got pregnant. We were frequently together. Van Than frowned. Don't talk nonsense. This is definitely Cantham's child. Because it's his, I want to give birth myself. So Van Xiao's face turned cold. But then he smiled again. I've consulted a master. That island matches our children's 8 characters. It's very good for them. You promised to compensate me. I beg you, my queen. This time Van Than agreed. So Van Xiao looked into the camera, smiled provocatively, then sent another audio message. You see, even things she promised you, just by my asking, she will still give to me. You've lost. I gripped the phone tightly, sat dazed in place. I remembered before, when I was injured working part-time. Van Than did the same thing. Used eggs to help relieve my pain. It turns out everything she did for me, she also did for other men. At this moment, I felt exhausted, but just by leaving Van Than, everything would be fine. I could leave tomorrow. That afternoon, I visited my teacher. Before saying goodbye, the teacher held my hand, led me to a nearby temple, said this place was very sacred, wanted to pray for an amulet of safety for me. When we arrived, the monk I had never met before called my name correctly. Patron, you wonder how I know your name. The monk smiled. A year ago, there was a female patron named Van Than. She donated 80 million to our temple. She also kowtowed every 3 steps, kneeling from the foot of the mountain to the temple to pray for a safety amulet for you. But at that time, she didn't take the amulet. Left it here, asked us to chant sutras. Consecrate the amulet, or your teacher is very happy. Seeing you two husband and wife loving each other, I am also at ease. I lowered my eyes. The lingering attachment to past warmth, mixed with the pain of betrayal, made my just calmed heart surge with waves again. Today, by coincidence, patron, you have come. Take this safety amulet with you. Receiving the amulet, when preparing to leave, the monk called out, wait, patron, female patron, to also prayed for 3 more amulets. Patron, take them all with you. Upon receiving them and seeing the names, I just wanted to laugh. Written on them were the names of So Van Chao and the twins. That night, when Van Than returned, she found I'd already slept alone. For years, we were used to waiting for each other to return, embracing each other to sleep. This was the first time. I didn't wait for her. Van Than felt uneasy. She hugged me, buried herself in my arms. I missed you so much. Honey, even just a few hours apart, it feels like centuries have passed. If one day you're not by my side, I definitely couldn't live. Really? I whispered. Oh right, honey. I want to discuss something with you about that island. I consulted a master. The feng shui isn't very good. I bought 2 more islands. Is that okay? I closed my eyes. Up to you. Noticing the coldness and impatience in my tone, Van Than became more uneasy. She carefully asked, honey, did I make you angry? No, I'm just tired. I took a deep breath. In a few days, it's our wedding anniversary. Tomorrow afternoon, I want to fly my private plane abroad. I've arranged a gift there. I want to get it myself. You're still sick. A 15-hour flight. Really too tiring. Or let me go instead. I smiled slightly. An anniversary gift. Of course, I must get it myself. Hearing me say this, Van Than's heart seemed to melt. All right, I'll listen to you. The next morning, Van Than prepared breakfast, then went out. She said the company had matters. After she left, I began packing, opened the wardrobe, took all the clothes I had made by hand, given to Van Than, cut them into pieces, then threw them in the trash. All the expensive gifts Van Than gave me, I distributed to the house staff. The photo album that Van Than and I saved for 3 years, agreed to keep to look at together when we grew old, was also thrown by me into the fireplace. But Van Than had forgotten important documents. When she returned, she saw the photos burning in the flames. Her mind exploded. Without caring about anything, she put her hand into the fire to save the last half of the album. Honey, her voice trembled looking at me. Why did you burn them? I smiled slightly. Nothing, just thought they looked too ugly. Didn't want to keep these ugly photos. I walked over, took Van Than's burnt hand. The days ahead of us are still long. We can take more pictures. Why did you put your hand in the fire? Look, your hand is injured like this. Call a doctor to treat it. Seeing the concern in my eyes, the panic in Van Than's heart gradually subsided. She began to act coquettishly. Honey, if you blow on it, it won't hurt anymore. If her subordinates saw this behavior, they would certainly think their cold CEO must have been possessed by something. This grown woman truly has no shame. I walked over, covering the pieces of clothes in the trash. After taking her documents, Van Than stood on tiptoe to kiss my forehead. I am going to the company. I'll be back at lunch. Shortly after she left, So Van Chao sent me another message. Point Shot Hotel. Your wife is here. Today, I have a good show for you to watch. I was silent. So every time she said she was going to the company, she was actually going to meet So Van Chao. Although I knew clearly that if I went there, what I would see would certainly make me collapse. But I still went. It turned out today was the twins' birthday. Van Than, along with her parents and her friends, gathered to celebrate the children's birthday. They held the birthday party at the hotel. The service staff passing by called So Van Chao Madam to his husband. Van Than didn't object. She even smiled at So Van Chao, her eyes sparkling with gentleness. And the Tham parents smiled at So Van Chao in a way I had never seen. I stood behind a pillar outside the hall, overheard the conversation between Van Than and her cousin, Tham Nu Swang. Sister, to be honest, are you planning to live like this your whole life? Tham Nu Swang frowned. Paper can't wrap fire, no matter how well you hide it. One day, your brother-in-law will discover it. Van Than smiled. I love Can Tham, but Van Chao is the father of the children. I can't abandon him either. Living like this for the rest of my life is fine. But what if you can't hide it? What will you do? Tham Nu Swang muttered. You're not faithful to your marriage. That's unfair to my brother-in-law. That day will never come. Haven't these 2 years been like this? Van Than was still very confident. I know. I've wronged Can Tham. I will compensate him many times over. Tham Nu Swang gave her a contemptuous glance. Can love be compensated with material things? For the sake of our relationship, I'll tell you one thing. Youngest aunt is coming back to the country soon. She's so conservative and hates unfaithful people like you the most. Keep your lover well hidden. If youngest aunt finds out, she will definitely expose you. At this moment, I only felt disgusted, staggered out of the hotel, but the continuous mental shocks of the past few days made me unable to bear it anymore. My vision darkened. I collapsed to the ground. When I woke up, I was in a strange room. On the sofa beside the bed was a woman in a high-end suit dress, wearing rimless glasses on her nose. She was flipping through a thick stack of documents, though her face showed no expression. Her sharp beauty inadvertently exuded an overwhelming aura. I sat up, dazed for a few seconds, then realized the person in front of me was Van Than's youngest aunt, Ko Nien. She frequently did business abroad. I had only met her a few times, only knew that. Van Than was quite afraid of this aunt 3 years older than her, because when she was mischievous as a child, her parents couldn't bear to discipline her. It was always Ko Nien who punished her. Van Than once commented she was rigid and strict. Everything had to follow rules. You're awake? Ko Nien closed her documents. The doctor said you just had surgery, haven't fully recovered yet, plus your emotions fluctuated too greatly, so you fainted. She slowly walked closer to me. Your surgery. Van Than doesn't know, right? If not, she wouldn't let you faint alone on the street. I remained silent for a long time. Thank you for today, but please don't tell her about this. Seeing Ko Nien not intending to agree, I softly pleaded, I beg you. Ko Nien was stunned. They are husband and wife. Surely there must be a problem. Logically, this matter should definitely be told to Van Than, but for some reason, her heart softened. In the end, she agreed to keep the secret from me. She had. Someone take me home. I hadn't been home long. Van Than also returned. She took out a new watch. The custom-made watch has arrived. Honey, do you like it? I glanced at it. That style, identical to the one she gave So Van Chow today. I couldn't help but laugh. So, all along, they were just cheap gifts made in 2 versions. I don't need it. I want to visit Tiu Thu Dong. That place once held many precious memories. It's 12 o'clock now. At 3 o'clock this afternoon, I will leave this place forever. Looking one last time, like a farewell. Van Than was startled. Her face showed a bit of panic, because previously So Van Chow had insisted on staying there. She had given the keys to Tiu Thu Dong to him. Today he was taking the children there to play. Let's go after lunch. She went into the kitchen, secretly texted So Van Chow, told him to leave quickly. At 2 in the afternoon, the 2 of us arrived at the estate. As soon as I stepped in, I felt something was wrong. Clearly, someone had been living here. I pretended not to notice, went straight upstairs. In the bedroom, there were still some photo albums of Van Than and me. Leaving them here, I felt disgusted. But when I opened the album, I stood stunned in place. In the album, all were photos of Van Than and So Van Chow, along with the twins. The 4 of them in the lavender fields, under the Eiffel Tower in Paris, on a hot air balloon. These places, 2 were all places Van Than had been with me. Each place had once left memories deeply etched in our hearts. Seeing my face clearly turn pale, Van Than stepped forward. Honey, what's wrong? I hurriedly closed the album, smiled and said, nothing. I want to go home now. Turned to go downstairs. Van Than's phone suddenly rang. Her face immediately became panicked. Honey, I need to use the bathroom for a moment. Wait for me downstairs, okay? I nodded and left, but a few minutes later, I came back. Outside the bathroom door, I heard Van Than's voice full of worry. Didn't I tell you to take the children away? Why are you still here? How don't you want to play something stimulating? So Van Chow laughed softly. Before, on your marriage bed, facing your wedding photos, we did it. But now heads downstairs. Isn't this even more exciting? Unbearable sounds rang out. I stood outside the door. My heart no longer rippled. I let out a soft laugh. With light footsteps, went downstairs. I was born in the deep mountains. My mother was kidnapped there. My father was an alcoholic. Every time he was drunk, he abused my mother and me. At 16 years old, I escaped from those mountains. The first thing I did was put my biological father in jail. My father cursed that I would die a bad death. My mother was freed because of me, but didn't thank me, because I was evidence of her humiliation. I was the festering scar in her life. Growing up in such a distorted family, I learned to build high walls within my heart, keep distance from everyone. But at 18 years old, Van Than stepped into my life. She was like a never-extinguishing flame, persistently melting the ice in my heart, gently soothing all the pains of my past. She gave me endless love, also made me learn how to love someone again, and it was also her, at my happiest moment, who stabbed the most painful knife into my heart. This scar will never heal. A few minutes later, Van Than walked out from the estate. I silently looked at her for a moment, suddenly raised my hand, showed her the woven bracelet on my wrist. This is what you made for me with your own hands. But, today I see it as faded. Van Than, tell me, has your love for me faded? How could it? Van Than's face was full of sincerity. My love for you only grows stronger each day. I laughed meaningfully. Initially, I planned to leave quietly, but now I've changed my mind. I want to avenge Van Than's infidelity. She has deceived me for 2 years. I spread my arms and embraced her. Van Than, I love you too, so you must wait for me to return, to celebrate our 3rd wedding anniversary together. Oh, that's right. I took out a document bag, seriously placed it into Van Than's hands. This is a gift for you. Only open it 2 days from now. Inside were screenshots from the videos So Van Chow sent me. When news of my plane crash returned, she would certainly open this document bag, then she would know it was her infidelity that had made me desperate, even causing the death of the husband she loved most. I wanted her to live each day afterward, in pain and regret. Okay, I'll wait for you to return. Van Than's eyes shone brightly, flashing with hope. Honey, shall I take you to the airport now? I shook my head in refusal. No need for you to take me. I know you're a busy person. Someone will be looking for you again soon. To Van Than was stunned. Was she misreading? Why did her husband's words seem to carry a mocking tone? Her heart suddenly surged with unease. Right after, her phone rang. A message from So Van Chow. Sis, we weren't finished just now, right? After you take your husband away. Come back and continue, okay? Actually, the first time she slept with So Van Chow was after being drugged by her parents. At that time, she felt dirty, just wanted to commit suicide. But So Van Chow knelt on the ground, begging her without dignity. Even though you caused my family's bankruptcy, I still love you. Van Than, without you, I would really die. As long as you're happy, I am willing to do anything to make her happy. He truly had no limits. Afterward, he wore my clothes. Said, you can pretend I am Luke Cantham. Whatever you don't dare do to him, you can do to me. At that moment, the fire into Van Than's heart was ignited by him. She had many fantasies about me. She wanted to hit me, wanted to hear me beg, wanted to see my flesh torn, crawling at her feet. Just couldn't bear to do that to me. But with So Van Chow, she didn't need to hold back. All fantasies could be realized on him. Then I won't take you to the airport. Travel carefully. Before leaving, I looked at her one last time, but only saw her back. I said softly, goodbye. Farewell to Van Than, never to meet again. A few hours later, while To Van Than and So Van Chow were intertwined on the large bed in the estate, she received a call from her assistant. This better be extremely important. To Van Than's voice showed displeasure at being disturbed. The assistant's voice trembled. Madam Tu, we just received news. Your husband's flight just left domestic airspace. It has crashed in the ocean. To Van Than's pupils contracted. The blood in her entire body seemed to freeze in that moment. What did you say? A few seconds later, To Van Than suddenly collapsed, vomiting a large amount of blood. Blood stained a large patch of the bedsheet. Amid So Van Chow's panicked cries, she struggled to stand up, staggered to the garage. Luke Cantham couldn't possibly have an accident. She had to go find him herself. In the car, she saw the document bag I left, still on the passenger seat. To Van Than's internal organs felt like they were being stirred. Unbearable pain. She gasped for breath. Pain entered her blood with each breath. Everywhere. Why did she agree to let me fly the plane myself? Why didn't she arrange some experienced pilots to accompany me? Why? Because human capacity is limited. Recently, she had been busy preparing for the twins' birthday and daily intimacy with So Van Chow. These small details, she naturally didn't have the mind to notice. The search lasted 2 whole days, but the hundreds of miles of sea area were all searched. No traces of survivors were found. The rescue staff chose their words carefully, avoided provoking To Van Than because of the deep feelings between her and Luke Cantham. Everyone knew. Miss Tu, if a plane crashes in the ocean, there is almost no chance of survival. So Mr. Luke may have perished. To Van Than's tears flowed. At this moment, she was soft as mud, could barely stand, completely relying on those beside her to support her. But when hearing the words perished, she suddenly red-eyed, shouted loudly, you're talking nonsense. You dare to curse my husband. He's not dead. Don't say he's dead. The assistant struggled to pull her away. To Van Than stood in place for a long time, suddenly muttered, today is our wedding anniversary. He said he would let me wait for him to return. He had prepared a grand ceremony, but now the ceremony has turned into a funeral. She didn't stay at the accident scene, but went alone to the hall. Looking at the huge wedding photo in the center, her tears flowed again, thinking that when I had the plane crash, she was with So Van Chow. She hated herself to death at that moment. Cantham, were you afraid then? She gently stroked the eyebrows in my photo. I promise not to let you be alone, so wait for me a little. I will go with you. She poured an entire bottle of sleeping pills into her mouth, leaned against the wedding photo, laid down. The effect of the drug came very quickly, but in the end, she didn't die. The hotel manager found her acting strangely, called for emergency help, but the child in her womb couldn't be saved. When she woke up, her parents embraced her crying heartbrokenly. You foolish child. Before doing something so stupid, did you think of your parents? To Van Than's eyes were empty. Parents, just consider you never gave birth to this unfilial child. Without Cantham, I can't live anymore. The Tham parents cried until they fainted on the spot. Ko Nien looked at her niece with a headache. Years ago, she fought with the entire clan because of Luke Cantham. Now Luke Cantham is dead. She wants to follow him in suicide. What magic power did he have to make her so obsessed? She was about to advise when To Van Than suddenly grabbed her hand. Youngest aunt, the car I often drive. There's a document bag on the passenger seat. Can you get it for me? That's the gift Luke Cantham left for me before he left. She had no more hope to live on, but before dying, she wanted to open this last gift. Ko Nien instructed the nurse to watch over her, then went to get the document bag herself. When she returned, she found another man and 2 children in the hospital room. The man's eyes were red. I think of nothing else. At least think of your own flesh and blood. Ko Nien frowned. Her hand pushing the door paused. What is this about? As she understood it, To Van Than and Luke Cantham had no children. How could there be flesh and blood? Could she have been unfaithful in marriage? If you die, I will take these 2 children to die with you. In short, without you, I have no meaning in living. In the hospital room, To Van Than seemed somewhat moved. She reached out to touch So Van Chow's face, sighed. Why must it be like this? Ko Nien's face was cold. She walked in, threw the document bag onto To Van Than. Here's what you wanted. To Van Than opened the document bag as she took out the contents. So Van Xiao still held her hand, pouring out sincere feelings. Van Than, even though Luke Can Tham didn't like me, but his accident. I am also very heartbroken, but the dead are gone. The living must continue living. Don't do anything foolish again. In the future, let me be by your side. Continue walking. Okay. He had endured for so long, finally waited for the day Luke Can Tham died. From now on, to Van Than would belong to him alone. He was dreaming about the beautiful life ahead, trying to suppress the smile on his lips, but didn't notice to Van Than's face becoming increasingly unpleasant. The next second, to Van Than threw all the items in her hands at him, her face ashen as she stood up, strangled him. I told you long ago, I could give you anything you wanted, but absolutely must not let Cantham know about this. But what did you dare to do? You dared to tell Cantham about this. You dared to repeatedly provoke him. I didn't, so Van Xiao tried to deny, but his eyes touched the paper on the floor. It was a screenshot of the conversation between him and me. His pupils contracted. He originally thought with my pride, I would directly divorce or leave to Van Than, not expose these matters. Unexpectedly before dying I had left this. To Van Than's hands tightened. At this moment she truly regretted. Why didn't she kill this plague years ago, just before she strangled So Van Xiao to death? Ko Nian pulled her away. Enough! Do you want to commit murder too? So Van Xiao escaped death by a hair. Truly felt the fear of death. He looked and at to Van Than in disbelief. I've done so much for you, and you really wanted to kill me. He loved to Van Than's wealth and power, but also genuinely liked her. But at this moment, no matter how much love, it had turned to hate. Things have come to this today. Is it only my fault if you hadn't repeatedly sneaked around with me? Would I have had the opportunity to provoke Luke Can Tham? Now you want to blame everything on me. Dream on. Let me tell you, maybe it wasn't a plane crash, but him desperately seeking death. The one who caused his death is you. To Van Than seemed nailed in place by these words. In the silence, in these past few days, each of my breaths appeared before her eyes, and a thought flashed in her mind. And a moment later, she suddenly laughed loudly. Can Tham definitely isn't dead. He must be hiding somewhere. He understands me so well. I am like weeds. Tenacious. Absolutely wouldn't commit suicide. I am just leaving you. Hiding somewhere you'll never find me, because I also understand you well. I know you would never agree to divorce, much less let me go. Immediately check who Cantham contacted these days. I've been abroad for 3 months now. During this time, I always keep the curtains drawn, sitting alone, dazed in the room. I know I am depressed because of Van Than, although I've pushed her out of my life, but the past is too deeply etched, has even become my habit. Tong Hao invited me to eat. While eating food I like, I turned to the empty space beside me, saying, "Honey, this is delicious. When we get home, you should try making it." Making Tong Hao and myself startled. At night going to sleep, I habitually reached out to hug the person beside me, but only touched air. At such times I would be sleepless. Over the years, Van Than had gently infiltrated every corner of my life. I need time to readjust to living alone. Also to completely push Van Than out of my life. 3 months later, I've gotten used to my new life. In college, I obtained a double degree in software engineering and artificial intelligence. I really like programming, because in this binary world of 1 second and 0 seconds, everything is clear. Grasp the rules, and can use clarity to create countless uncertainties. I like the feeling of certainty I can hold in my hand. After graduation, I've always worked in this, accumulating considerable experience. Recently, I've been trying to develop my own tech brand. In about 3 months, the research and development product will be completed. I found many factories to invest in mass production. After completing all procedures, the product was brought to market. Initially, I just wanted to try, but unexpectedly the feedback was better than expected, not only attracting a large number of consumers, but also making many investors want to cooperate with me. I didn't want to show my face, afraid others would recognize me, causing unnecessary trouble. So I delegated full authority to Tong Hao to handle everything. Tong Hao selected from many companies, the most generous and capable one. Both sides negotiated contracts online, then began signing contracts in person. But coincidentally, the CEO of their company was recently in this town. So Tong Hao didn't need to travel between 2 places, just needed to meet the CEO to sign the contract. At the appointed time, Tong Hao entered the agreed location. The moment she saw Tong Hao, Ko Nian was stunned. If she remembers correctly, the young man opposite is named Tong Hao. He's Luke Can Tham's close friend. According to Van Than's investigation, that crash flight was remotely controlled. Tong Hao is an expert in this field, which means Luke Can Tham never had an accident. It was just an unmanned aircraft that crashed. Moreover, before the crash, I only contacted Tong Hao twice, so it's very likely Tong Hao helped me escape. Now that he's appeared here, could Luke Can Tham also be here? Tong Hao doesn't know Ko Nian, also doesn't know he's been exposed. After he left, Ko Nian called her assistant in. Go find out where he stays and who he's with. The assistant nodded, about to leave when Ko Nian called him back. That boy still hasn't been found. When Ko Nian was 9 years old, she was framed by enemies, leading to her being kidnapped by traffickers, taken to a small mountain village. The mountain range stretched for hundreds of miles. She had no way to escape. When thinking she would rot there for life, a boy named Tran Shu Tai saved her. He led her through a secret path never seen before, even stuffed her some rock-hard steamed buns, Just keep running straight down this path. By tomorrow afternoon, you'll be able to escape. Ko Nien held the boy's hand. Then let's go together. If they discover I let you go, they'll beat me to death. Trench Utai shook his head. I can't go. If I go, I must take my mother. But her legs have been broken. She can't walk. He was silent for a moment, sister. When you get out, please report to the police for me. My mother was kidnapped and brought here. That year, Ko Nien escaped, but became severely ill. When she woke up, she had forgotten the village's location. Only remembered the boy's determined eyes, remembered the large scar on his ankle, and the name Tran Chutai. All these years she's been searching. The assistant shook his head. Miss Tham, there are too many boys with this name in the country. We're still checking. T. Ko. Nien suppressed her disappointment, waved her hand. Go back to work. A few days later, Tong Hao took me to a small bar nearby. While drinking, they chased away girls who approached the person I met when signing the contract. Beautiful enough to shock the soul, but her aura was too frightening. Looking at her felt extremely pressured. I didn't dare ask for her contact information. Tong Hao sighed with regret. Why was I so timid then? What a pity. Next time, who knows when. I'll meet such a high-caliber beauty again. But less than a second later, he jumped up. That girl who just walked by is so cool. Totally my type. I'll go for a bit and be back. He hadn't been gone long. I felt the sofa beside me sink down. Thinking it was Tong Hao as usual, I put my arm around their shoulder, lazily asking, why are you back so quickly? But when I leaned in, I discovered this was a stranger. I immediately jumped up, spilling my drink, wetting my coat. I was both flustered trying to wipe my coat and apologizing to the person beside me. I am sorry. I mistook you for someone else. Ko Nien calmly spoke. It's fine. That voice. I snapped my head up. Ko Nien felt a chill run down her spine for a moment. Why is she here? Does Van Than know about my fake death? These questions flashed through my mind, but I didn't have time to think much. Now in my head was just one word. Run. But as I turned, I was grabbed by the wrist by Ko Nien from behind. Why are you running? I am not going to hurt you. Ko Nien still maintained her cold expression. But you must come back to the country with me to see Van Than. I turned back, angrily looking at her. Miss Ko, where I go is my freedom. You have no right to interfere. Now please let go of me. That's right. But Ko Nien didn't let go. In fact, she gripped tighter. But because you faked your death. Van Than at that time kept trying to commit suicide after guessing you weren't dead. She frantically searched the world for you. Her moods were unstable. I don't think her mental state is normal anymore. Shouldn't you come back with me to see her once? Now resolve this matter? Hearing these words, I was silent for a long time. No need to meet again. She and I are now strangers. Seo Nien slightly frowned. Van Than cheated in marriage. That was her fault. You could divorce her, but not just keep running away. I am running away, but if given a choice, who would want to abandon everything, hide in anonymity? I chose this way, not just to avenge her infidelity, but also so she has no chance to entangle with me anymore. I sighed softly. You don't understand her. She won't divorce, won't let go either. She would do very crazy things. If you truly want what's best for her, then don't tell her you've met me. Ko Nien was startled, instinctively released her grip. I took advantage of her momentary shock, quickly ran outside. Tong Hao. And I hurriedly bought overnight flight tickets, flew to another country. But the very next day, after settling in, just as I opened the door, I saw 2 rows of bodyguards standing neatly in front of the door. Watched Ko Nien step down from a luxury car. I helplessly asked, what exactly do you want? This time I came to discuss a business deal with you. I hope you stay within my sight. In exchange, I will provide you all the core technologies from the tech companies under my name. These past few days, she had thoroughly investigated me. She knows I am passionate about my technology career. The conditions she offered I certainly couldn't refuse. As long as I agreed to stay, she could gradually persuade me to meet Van Than. Of course, you can also refuse, but no matter where you go, I'll have people follow you. Comparatively, agreeing is still more beneficial. I silently cursed shrewd businesswoman, but reluctantly, still had to agree to her conditions. Ko Nien arranged a villa for me, near company headquarters. It's close to the company here. Convenient for you to learn and visit. After she left, Tong Hao angrily hit his own head. Truly, life is unpredictable. The big fish swallows the small fish. If I'd known earlier she was to Van Than's aunt, I would rather give the product away for free than cooperate with her. Sorry, Can Tham, it's not your fault. I sighed helplessly. In this vast world, who would expect such a coincidence? The company is under Ko Nien's name anyway. For now, I settled down here. During the day, I went to Ko Nien's company to learn. In the evenings, returned to develop my own product. Every few days, Ko Nien would visit once, each time trying to persuade me to agree to meet Van Than. That day, I returned from the company. Again saw Ko Nien sitting in the living room. Beside her was Van Than with an excited face. The moment she saw me, Van Than's eyes immediately turned red. Tears fell down. Throughout these 7 months, every day she had dreamed of, longed to see me again. But when actually seeing me, she didn't dare to move. She feared this was just a dream, even more afraid of seeing coldness and disgust in my eyes. Can Tham, she called softly, voice trembling. I only glanced at her once, then immediately moved my gaze, coldly looking at Ko Nien. Ko Yen, who dominated the business world, had always been someone others feared. This was the first time someone looked at her with such an expression. She coughed. slightly, somewhat uncomfortable. I see you've been more emotionally stable lately. So, I informed Van Than to come. Her infidelity was wrong, but your fake death wasn't right either. Now, I hope you two can calmly talk. I laughed coldly, calmly. Miss Go, if someday you get married, your husband cheats, has children with someone else, and hides it from you for 2 years, even repeatedly, gets intimate in places you once vowed eternal love, could you calmly talk to him? Co Nyan was rendered speechless by me, unable to say anything, and to Van Than turned pale, lowering her head. Van Than, I faked my death, because I didn't want any connection with you anymore. But now that you've discovered me, it'll make it clear to you. There is no possibility between us anymore. Don't delude yourself that by clinging on, I will forgive you, will reconnect with you. I paused a moment. That day, you and So Van Chow were in bed at the estate. I stood outside the door hearing everything. In this lifetime, I can never forget. If you still have any feelings from the past, then don't appear before me again, because now seeing you, I only remember that day and want to vomit. To Van Than's face turned ashen. She rushed forward grabbing my hand, panicking to the point she could hardly speak. I was wrong. You can punish me however you want. Even if you want to kill me out of anger, it's fine. But don't leave me. Without you, I can't live. I pulled my hand away. What would I want your life for? And how you live has nothing to do with me. I suddenly smiled slightly. Don't you and So Van Chow have a pair of children? Your whole family knows about this. Even acknowledged him. Now that you have your children, you can just live with him. To Van Than grabbed my hand again. Hurriedly, explained. I've cut ties with him already. I won't see him anymore. I beg you. Give me a chance to make amends. She disregarded everything else, even prepared to kneel and beg. I pulled her up. Don't you understand what others say? I said there is no possibility between us anymore. Don't do these meaningless entanglements. I can't live without you. To Van Than cried to the point she couldn't form words. Ko Nian standing beside couldn't help but sigh. Though only 3 years older than to Van Than, she had watched her grow up. Never seen her so miserable, losing face like this, and I was irritated to the point of madness. By Van Than's constant crying and begging, I clenched my teeth, brushed Van Than's hand away, suddenly pressed Ko Nian's face. Under her stunned and panicked gaze, I forcefully kissed her lips once. To Van Than's crying suddenly stopped. There's no possibility between us, because now I like your aunt. Ko Nian's pupils contracted. To Van Than's face turned unusually pale. Honey, don't say such provocative words. What, you don't believe it? Your aunt has a successful career. She's also stunningly beautiful. Most importantly, she's pure. So why is it strange that I like her? I smiled, about to kiss Ko Nian again. Ko Nian's cold face finally cracked. She was half angry, half panicked, stepping back several large steps. I slowly stepped forward, embraced her waist. At this moment, I was smiling on the surface, but inwardly furious with Ko Nian. If not for her, To Van Than might never have found me. My peaceful life wouldn't have been disrupted. She created such a big mess for me. I had to return the favor a bit. I raised my head to kiss her cheek. Auntie, what perfume are you wearing? It smells so good. Ko Nian at her age had never been so close to someone of the opposite sex. She couldn't even dream that one day she would be repeatedly kissed twice by her niece's husband. She pushed me away hard, awkward for a long time, unable to say anything. A surge of anger in her chest couldn't be vented. Finally, she turned around, slammed the door shut as she left. I laughed, asking To Van Than, do you need me to continue proving it to you? To Van Than's face drained of blood, she collapsed to the floor. She understood me too well, just by looking into my eyes. She knew what I was thinking. She knew I was deliberately provoking her, wanted her to give up hope. But seeing me kiss someone else, she still felt heartbroken to the point of being unable to breathe. To Van Than suddenly thought, when I discovered her infidelity, saw those unbearable videos between her and So Van Chow, was my heart a million times more painful than hers now? She closed her eyes, tears flowing from her tightly shut eyes. Having come to this point, she couldn't blame anyone else. She herself had destroyed everything. The next day, I continued going to Ko Nian's company headquarters to learn. In front of the elevator, I met Ko Nian. Seeing me, her face turned from green to white to red. A few seconds later, she grimly headed toward the stairs. A few minutes later, the assistant following Ko Nian, panting heavily, climbed to the top floor, silently cursing, wondering if the boss had gone crazy, not taking the elevator when it's available, wanting to climb more than 20 floors on foot, really trying to kill people. That evening, I returned to the villa, smelled the fragrance of food filling the house. I thought it was Tong Hao in the kitchen, but the next second, To Van Than wearing an apron, carried a dish out. You're back, just in time. The food is ready. Wash your hands and eat. In the steam rising from the dish, I was momentarily dazed. This scene had happened countless times over the past 3 years. No matter how busy she was, To Van Than always came home early to cook. When I opened the door, there was always the fragrant smell of food. And To Van Than's embrace, that scene, used to be my definition of happiness. But after all that had happened, everything had changed. People and things. I picked up the dish from the table, dumped it straight into the trash. I made myself clear yesterday. Stop doing these useless things. To Van Than's face clearly turned pale. Her smile also stiffened, but a few seconds later, she smiled again. These dishes don't suit your taste. I'll make them again. My face was cold, and additionally impatient. Van Than, do I need to repeat what I said yesterday? You can say it as many times as you want. She carried the empty plate, went into the kitchen, calmly said, but I won't stop. I won't leave you. Certainly won't give up. So from today, I'll stay here. Take care of you until you forgive me, or I die first. You want to stay here? Fine. I'll leave. As I was walking away, Van Than calmly opened her mouth. Your friend, Tong Hao, as well as your friends and teachers back in the country. If you disappear from my life again, I'll make sure they have no place to stand anywhere. My body suddenly stiffened. Van Than, don't you find yourself shameless? I don't want it to be like this. Van Than skillfully cut vegetables, but rarely cut her finger. She looked at her bleeding finger, dazed for a moment before speaking. But this is the most effective way, isn't it? I didn't answer her. The large villa sank into deadly silence. She quickly remade the dishes, brought to them up, but I had no appetite. Also didn't want to see her. I directly went upstairs to sleep. Van Than brought the dishes up. Tired? Eat something before sleeping. I pulled the blanket, covered my head completely. Get out. All right, whenever you're hungry. I'll make something again. Van Than took the dishes down, then came back up, lay on the bed. She hugged me from behind, left hand tightly embracing my waist. What are you doing? Let go. I struggled. Don't move, honey. Let me hold you for a while. She held me tight, resting her head on my back, satisfyingly sighed once. After more than 7 months, she finally got to hold the one she loved again. At this moment, her suspended soul seemed to return to her body. The long-absent feeling of peace made her eyes red. She said softly, Kantham, I missed you so much. Really, very much. I suddenly felt very sad. Her love was real. But if she loved so deeply, why did she cheat? Why destroy the relationship that the two of us built for so many years? If she knew today would come, why did she act that way in the beginning? Van Than, I can't forget your infidelity, nor can I forgive it. We have no possibility anymore. What's the meaning in doing this? We'd better part peacefully. Van Than said nothing, just held tighter. When the moonlight rose, she let go. I know you don't want to see me. I'll sleep in the living room. She bent down, wanting, like before, to give me a goodnight kiss, but finally stood up straight. Sleep well. She left, but I couldn't sleep all night. I only managed to doze off at dawn. Near noon, the phone ring woke me up. Why didn't you come to the company today? I was dazed for a moment, then realized it was Konyen calling. I angrily said, whether I go or not has nothing to do with you. Do I need to report to you? Are you that free? Konyen was unexpectedly shouted at. She was about to say something else, but the phone was already hung up. Looking at the cut call interface on the phone, Konyen couldn't help but laugh from anger. Am I going crazy today? Whether he comes or not has nothing to do with me. Why am I calling to care about it? The result is being scolded for no reason. I was woken up. Couldn't go back to sleep either. Washed my face, then went downstairs. Van Than had finished making lunch, was waiting. Seeing me wearing a coat about to go out, Van Than stood up from the dining table, carefully asked, Kantham, the meal is ready. Won't you eat at home? Seeing you makes me lose my appetite. If I ate at home, I might starve to death someday. Van Than lowered her head. Then please come home early tonight. My response was a door slamming shut. Van Than knew I was angry and resentful toward her, but they had years of feelings, waiting for me to vent all my anger. Calm down. This relationship could certainly be saved. It's just that this waiting period would be excruciating. She smiled bitterly. Whatever difficulties were self-inflicted. I left the villa. Had no mood to eat lunch either. Just felt annoyed inside. Previously seeing Tong Hao and his girlfriend break up then reconcile, I found it hard to understand. If not in love, then break up. If in love, then stay together. Why keep entangling with a woman? Now I understood. Love has inertia. Even after deciding to let go, that inertia still pulls at the heart, causing prolonged, unending pain in this confused state of mind. I went to the largest club here, called in more than a dozen hostesses at once. One girl took a sip of alcohol, wanted to pass it to me mouth to mouth. I didn't refuse either. When our lips were about to touch, the door was kicked open with a bang. The girl was pushed away by a hand. Konyen's face was cold as ice. She coldly swept her eyes over the women. Get out, all of you. She looked at me again. Do you know what you're doing? I leaned back on the sofa, sipping my drink. I know. But what does this have to do with you? These people were called here with my money. You have no right to chase them away. The one who should leave is you. Don't ruin my fun. Just as the two exchanged a few words, Van Than received the news, hurriedly rushed over. Her eyes swept over the women in the room, revealing a gloomy, murderous aura. But the next second, she pleaded with me. Honey, come home with me. These people are all dirty. I laughed mockingly. They're dirty, so you're clean? Van Than's face turned pale, frozen in place. I know you have people following me, so you rushed here so quickly. But let me tell you, you can keep male lovers. Why can't I find women? Next time, don't rush over to ruin my mood. It's truly off-putting. Think about it. Even though I knew about you and so Van Chao, when you were secretive with him, didn't I pretend not to know? To let you be happy? Have I ever done what you're doing? Van Than's face had already turned pale. My sarcastic gaze turned toward Konyen. Auntie, you still haven't left? Me going out to find women. Even my legal wife has no right to interfere. Who are you to criticize me if you're too free? I suggest you drink more water. All right, both of you get out now. Close the door when you leave. Van Than knew she was wrong first, now had no right to control me. But how could she leave? Leave me here having fun with other women? Just thinking about it. She was already jealous to the point of madness. As for Konyen, her chest heaved with anger. She was angry at my rudeness, even angrier at herself, wondering if she had gone crazy. Today, she had originally come here for business. Seeing me, about to kiss someone else, she rushed in without thinking. Why was she interfering in my business? The atmosphere was tense, when suddenly, a man rushed in. As soon as he entered, he embraced Van Than. Van Than, how can you be so cruel? Not even caring about the life and death of our two children? This voice was familiar to me beyond familiarity. It was So Van Chow. Last time, So Van Chow was almost strangled to death by To Van Than. The two became enemies since then. To Van Than directly froze So Van Chow's cards, took back 26 companies, 5 estates, the villa and many properties she had established for him, all the cars she had previously given him. The expensive watches were also demanded back. Overnight, So Van Chow became dirt poor, drowning in debt. He couldn't accept this reality, went to Van Than's parents, begged them for help. Van Than basically doesn't care about the two children. Now the children following me can barely survive. To Van Than's parents love their grandchildren, immediately called their daughter, wanting to reconcile the relationship between the two. Van Than, a few days ago you said you would treat Van Chow well. Why are you treating him like this now? Luke Can Tham is already dead. Are you going to abandon your own children because of him? That's your own flesh and blood. At that time, To Van Than was having headaches searching for my whereabouts. Hearing her mother, she coldly replied, Mom, if you shelter So Van Chow and those two children, we will cut off relations. If you still want this daughter, then drive those 3 away. Mrs. Tu initially thought those were words of anger, still kept So Van Chow at the old house. Who would have thought that the very next day, To Van Than immediately posted on various media platforms, announcing her severing ties with her parents, and immediately returned home to handle related procedures. Mrs. Tu was scared to the point of having a heart attack. After recovering, she immediately drove So Van Chow away. Didn't dare get close to him anymore. Grandchildren were important, but a daughter was her own flesh and blood. So Van Chow completely lost his support. His life became poor and desperate. This time he finally discovered To Van Than's whereabouts. Immediately borrowed money from everywhere to rush over. Meeting her, 3 parts old feelings. He believed as long as he begged sincerely, even if she couldn't be like before, letting him spend extravagantly, she would still ensure his worry-free life. Otherwise, how would he live in the future? He was used to a luxurious, indulgent life. How could he bear working for someone else? That life would be no different from death. Van Than, you can't be so cruel. Look at these 2 children. See how thin they've become. You're their mother. People say a mother's love is great. Don't you care at all? The children already know how to call mommy. The 2 children called in unison. Mommy, mommy. I stood beside, burst out laughing. This scene was truly absurd, and To Van Than's face had turned green. She called security to drag So Van Chow out, but So Van Chow held her tightly, refusing to let go, screaming that children can't live without their mother. One night as husband and wife, 100 nights of love, for the sake of those countless nights. Don't be so heartless. This scene, even Konyen watching was angered. She unconsciously looked at me, but I was watching with relish, even leisurely peeling some fruit to eat. In fact, though Konyen had been abroad for many years, she had heard about my loving relationship with To Van Than, had even watched videos of the 2 of us. Back then, the way I looked at To Van Than was clearly full of love. I even got jealous when she glanced at another man, not like now, eyes full of coldness and indifference, like looking at a stranger. How many disappointments would it take to become 2 such different people? She lowered her head, rarely feeling some remorse, previously revealing my whereabouts to Van Than. Had she done wrong? So Van Chow lingered for a long time, finally was still dragged out by security. On the way being pulled out, he kept screaming. To Van Than guiltily looked at me. Can Tham, don't say anything. I stood up, went out of the private room. Hearing you speak now makes me disgusted. To Van Than was full of panic and despair, her expression exactly like So Van Chow's, who had just been dragged away. That night, I didn't go home. Finally, To Van Than found me by the river. It's cold here, let's go home. Home? You and I don't have a home. I looked at the moonlight on the river. To Van Than, I beg you, please go. For this love, I've almost lost half my life. What more do you want? Must you wait until I die before you'll let go? To Van Than's eyes immediately turned red. Her lips trembled. Can Tham, To Van Than, give me a way to live. If I have to face you for the rest of my life, I'd rather jump in here. Death would be cleaner. I am sorry. To Van Than rushed forward to hold me tight, crying uncontrollably. It's all my fault, but I can't let you go. I can't live without you. I looked at her. After a long time, I laughed coldly. You say you love me, but it turns out you only think of yourself. I turned to leave, but suddenly received a call from Tong Hao. Can Tham, I have something to tell you. Your old phone number was cancelled. The hospital couldn't contact you, so they called me. Your birth mother is critically ill. She wants to see you one last time. I stood stunned in place. Although I knew the country was To Van Than's sphere of influence, if I returned, it would be difficult to escape again, but I still immediately flew back overnight. To Van Than and Konyen also came with me. My mother and I hadn't met for over a decade. My memory of my mother was still from childhood. Back then she was always beaten, not allowed to eat enough, like a dry skeleton covered with human skin. Now I stood outside the hospital room, but hesitated, not daring to push the door. Cantham, shall I go in with you? Tavan Than gently took my hand. Get away. I pushed her away. You stand out there. Don't come in. I opened the door and entered, hearing my footsteps approaching. Mother struggled to open her eyes. You've come. Actually, meeting you isn't for anything big. You just wanted to say one thing. Thank you. I stared blankly at her. From the beginning, I never needed her thanks. I just wanted her to be free. I don't need you to thank me. Saving you was also saving myself. The hospital room door was pushed open again. It was my mother's current husband and their daughter coming to visit. In the already small hospital room, I was squeezed until I had no place to stand. In my mother's place, I never had a place to stand. I turned to leave. Mother called out loudly again. Chutai, I am sorry. All these years, I've always been angry with you. Never treated you well. My footsteps paused for a moment. No need to apologize either. I understand your pain. Only by completely cutting ties with me could you leave those painful memories behind. Start a new life. Outside the door, Kon Yen stared at me in shock. What did the old lady just call him? Chutai. Tavan Thane sighed. It's Tran Chutai, his old name. His mother's surname is Luke, so he took this new name himself. Kon Yen suddenly grabbed my shoulder. Does your right ankle have a large scar? How do you know? Kon Yen became exhausted, stepping back several steps, collapsed sitting on a chair in the hallway. The lifesaver she had been searching for all these years turned out to be right before her eyes. She had imagined countless times when she found that boy. She would give him all the best things in the world, satisfy all his wishes. But now, not only did she not give him anything, she even did things he hated. A few days later, my mother passed away. At the funeral, I didn't shed a tear, but on the way back, I suddenly asked to stop the car. I lost control, ran to the roadside crying uncontrollably. Kon Yen got out of the car, raised her hand wanting to comfort me, but Tavan Than blocked her hand. She felt Kon Yen cared for her husband a bit too much. Cantham's mother was seriously ill. She, as his wife, accompanying him was normal. But Kon Yen, an unrelated relative, even postponed several major business deals, insisted on following back to the country. Tavan Than couldn't help but suspect she had some unspoken intentions toward me. At this moment, she coldly and hostilely looked at Kon Yen. My husband. I know how to care for him. No need for Auntie to worry. Turned to embrace me, but was pushed away hard by me. Get far away. I screamed in my breakdown. Just take pity on me, Tavan Than. Today, don't appear before me, making me disgusted. Get out. Tavan Than's hand froze in midair. She felt her heart throb with pain. To me, had she now become such a disgusting existence? Was there truly no chance to salvage anymore? She turned heavily and left. In the days that followed, I still didn't want to see her. She was also sensible, not appearing anymore. But where I stayed was surrounded by her people 3 layers deep inside and out. I was confined by Tavan Than for half a month, until late one night, she appeared again. She sat beside the bed, reached out to gently stroke my cheek. These past 2 weeks, you've lost a lot of weight. I coldly brushed her hand away. How long do you plan to confine me? For life. Tavan Than smiled, bent down to embrace me. I've arranged everything outside. From now on, I won't go anywhere. Stay here with you. You must stay with me too. I know you value loyalty and affection. If you leave me, it'll make those you care about live worse than death. I laughed coldly. You're truly insane. I am not insane. Tavan Than held me tight. But if you leave again, I will certainly go crazy. The next day, she had people bring hundreds of suits and wedding dresses. Wanted to take new photos with me. To commemorate our 3rd wedding anniversary, the lighting team was ready. And the moment the photographer was about to click, I suddenly grabbed the cake on the table, threw it straight at Tavan Than. Damn it, who wants to take these with you? Tavan Than calmly wiped the cream off herself. We have many backup dresses, plenty of cakes too. If you're not satisfied, keep throwing. That day, I threw at her more than a dozen times. The last time, Tavan Than slightly frowned, grabbed my hand tight. Can we take the photos first? After that, you can hit me however you want. I smiled slightly, threw the cake straight in her face. No. That day, the wedding photos still weren't taken. The cake contained preserved plums, something I like to eat, but Tavan Than was severely allergic to it. She fainted immediately. That evening, just after regaining consciousness, she hurried to cook dinner for me, but I didn't care at all. That night, she had just finished bathing, got into bed, was pushed out the door by me. You're not allowed to sleep with me. Too dirty. Tavan Than laughed softly. I've already bathed. I also laughed. I am not talking about that kind of dirty, but that you slept with So Van Chow so many times. Very dirty. Tavan Than's breath caught. She didn't get into bed anymore. Instead took blankets and bedding to lay on the floor. The next morning, Tavan Than was woken early by the housekeeper's call. Afraid of waking me, she quietly left the room. What's the matter? Miss Ko is at the gate. Says she wants to see you. Tavan Than went to the estate's gate. Saw Kon Yen standing outside the door. She smiled. Heard from the housekeeper that for the past half-month, youngest aunt has come 6 times. Is there something? Kon Yen stared into her eyes. I came to see Luke Cantham. His phone is always off. Van Than. Have you imprisoned him, even though you're husband and wife? Doing so is still illegal. Tavan Than laughed coldly. Youngest aunt. So you know we're husband and wife? As an elder, you care about Cantham a bit too much. She stepped closer, spoke softly. Even though Cantham once kissed you, it doesn't mean anything. He just wanted to provoke me. Don't actually think Cantham likes you. Ko Nien stiffened. Youngest aunt. Don't come if you don't have business. Even if you have business, don't come. This place doesn't welcome you. On the way back to the room, just thinking about someone coveting me, her heart felt like it was burning with jealousy. No good. It's too unsafe here. She had to take me to the island she just bought. She immediately instructed her assistant to arrange this. In the following days, she was constantly busy. The day before this was completed, her assistant suddenly called, said So Van Chow had come to her company causing trouble. He was holding 2 children standing on the rooftop. Said if he didn't see her, he would jump. To Van Than's face turned cold. She hurried to the company. Not long after she left, Ko Nien led people to storm into the estate. When Ko Nien found me, I was standing on the balcony. She silently stood beside me for a while, until my impatient gaze swept over. Why are you here? She gathered all her courage to speak. Do you remember? When you were young, you once saved a kidnapped girl. All these years, it has always been Ko Nien taking care of others. In her memory, that boy was the only one who had ever cared for her. He was very special to her, but Ko Nien couldn't articulate clearly what exactly that feeling was. Because of her words, I stood, stunned in place. It was me. Ko Nien's eyes lit up. You still remember me? I laughed coldly. Of course I remember you. You're a promise breaker, a liar. Back then, you clearly promised. After escaping, you would report to the police for me. That year, I was small and brought this news to my mother. She rarely smiled at me. She was like a child, kept asking, really? You're not lying to me? Of course not, she promised. I patted my chest, guaranteeing, but they waited and waited. As a month passed, a year passed, several years passed. Still, no police came to rescue. Mother became very resentful toward me. She thought I was like my biological father, a liar. From then on, I never saw Mother smile again. Ko Nien hurriedly explained. That year, I did report to the police, but at that time, I was seriously ill. When I woke up, I couldn't remember the village's location. All these years, I've been looking for you. I laughed coldly, walking away. It doesn't matter anymore, but now I truly regret it. Back then, I shouldn't have saved you, let you rot there. Then my relationship with my mother wouldn't have been so bad. Now I also wouldn't have to face Van Than, someone who disgusts me. Ko Nien stood stunned in place. Her chest ached in waves. Her limbs transmitted small pains. Wait, she stopped me. Luke Cantham, I am sorry. What happened, I cannot change, but I can make amends. If you don't want to stay, it'll help you leave right now. I stopped walking. Van Than is using my friends to threaten me. After I leave, can you guarantee their safety? Ko Nien immediately guaranteed. No problem. I was silent for a moment. Fine. I'll trust you one last time, because I have no other choice now. On the other side, Van Than arrived at the company rooftop. Looking at So Van Chow standing outside the railing, she was utterly cold. You dare appear before me again. Last time abroad. If so, Van Chow hadn't suddenly appeared. She and I wouldn't be so tense. So Van Chow looked at her, pleadingly. Van Than, we have 2 children. Do you really not need me anymore? Actually, after everything that happened, he understood. This woman was cruel. Certainly not someone to rely on. But he had lived in luxury since childhood, then was kept by Van Than. Besides spending money, he had no survival skills, let alone with 2 children in tow. Now he had no other choice. Could only come beg to Van Than. Van Than laughed coldly. If you hadn't interfered and sabotaged, how would Cantham and I have come to this? I hate that I can't kill you. As for those 2 children, they were just born from hired surrogates. Whether you all live or die, I don't care. Her gentle but contemptuous words shattered So Van Chow's last bit of hope. He collapsed sitting on the ground, eyes full of despair. He had no more hope to live on. In this extreme despair, So Van Chow developed unprecedented anger. I am to blame? Did I cause you and him to break up? If you loved him so steadfastly, how could I repeatedly seduce you into my bed? Now you place all responsibility on me. Insects don't land on uncracked eggs. You yourself are the despicable one. That's why you got involved with me. Van Than smirked, like watching a monkey show, glanced at him one last time, before leaving the rooftop. Van Than heard So Van Chow's hoarse screaming. Van Than, I curse you, never to get what you want. You will die a horrible death. Van Than laughed contemptuously, but when she stepped out of the company building, several dark shadows flew past in front of her, like watermelons falling from a shelf. A heavy thud sound, flesh and skin shattered, the contents splattered, fresh red blood, and milky white matter sprayed onto her face. Van Than was stunned for a few seconds, clearly saw the mangled corpses before her. Her face turned pale. At this moment, she didn't know if fear dominated her heart, or if shock was greater. Someone died here. She was taken by police to make a statement. Returning home late at night, she discovered all bodyguards in the villa had been knocked unconscious, tied up. All surveillance cameras had been destroyed, and I had disappeared without a trace. She almost went insane, frantically shook the unconscious housekeeper, screaming, "What happened?" The housekeeper was shaken awake. "Miss, it was your youngest aunt. She led people to break in and take the master away." Ko Nien, Van Than gritted her teeth as she uttered this name. At this moment, she wished she could tear her aunt apart. She immediately had people block transportation throughout the city, but it was too late. By then, I was already on a private plane leaving the country. After a day of flying, the plane landed in a town abroad. Ko Nien had arranged housing here already, and acquaintances. I settled down here. 5 days had passed. Everything that needed arranging was done. Why haven't you left yet? Ko Nien was stunned. This was the 8th time I had chased her away. Luke Cantham, I want to wait until you are familiar with the environment here before leaving. I am already very familiar with this place. No need for your concern. I locked the door, preparing to go to a nearby restaurant for dinner. I am very grateful for your help, but I also saved you before. From now on, let's consider it even. Of course, if you want. Before leaving, I can treat you to a meal. Ko Nien lowered her head, somewhat disappointed. You really hate me. I smiled. I think I've made that very clear. Ko Nien smiled bitterly. I'll leave this afternoon. I wish you a safe journey. I lived in this town for 3 years. During those 3 years, I developed many successful technology products, established my own company. But because I couldn't conveniently show my face, all companies were registered under Tong Haya's name during holidays and festivals, although knowing I didn't welcome all her, she still came. She liked me. Everyone could see it. I could see it too, but I had no intention of diving in. A relationship with an unpredictable ending. I found my current solitary life very good. No need for a companion. In the 3rd year, during the new year, I seriously rejected Ko Nien, but as the 4th year approached, I unexpectedly heard news about Van Than. News of her death. Over the years, she had frantically searched for me everywhere, but with Ko Nien's interference, she couldn't find anything. Van Than gradually became deranged. A few years ago, she rushed into Ko Nien's office with a knife, almost stabbed her to death. Besides not being able to find me, she frequently couldn't sleep all night, whenever she closed her eyes. So Van Xiao and the 2 children appeared in her dreams every night. They were covered in blood, eyes wide open, silently looking at her. Who knows if it was karmic retribution, or her sensitive conscience blaming herself. Over time, she developed severe depression. A few days ago, she hugged our wedding photo, jumped from the company's roof. I returned to the country for her funeral. The pastor read Van Than's will. The content was very brief. The moment of infidelity. I thought I had only made a small mistake, something that could be hidden, but it turns out, my life from that moment was buried by myself. I am sorry. The person is gone. Grievances also fade. At this moment I remembered when I was 18. Van Than standing before me with a blushing face. Hello, can we exchange contact information? Back then sunlight shone on her cheeks, just like now. Light falling on her coffin.